educated. Why are they so anxious to have all these people in their country? What's the motivation there? I don't understand it.
I truly believe they're being bribed or blackmailed. I believe these nations in the Middle East who are not taking these migrants are paying the leaders either with cash or oil or whatever it is to take the migrants.
All right,
they're being sold out.
I don't know. I just don't understand Angela Merkel. It's like, is Germany running out of people? I mean, do they have a people shortage there? They need all these new people there? I don't understand it.
It's the same. Listen, Bill, it's the same reason why we're doing it here. Basically, the Democrats feel that they need new people to stay in power. That's the only reason why they are doing it. They need the masses to stay in power and to pay for all their free shit, to be honest with you. I want to welcome in right now on the Rebooting Liberty hotline. I have who's been waiting the longest here? Joanna from Tennessee. Welcome to the Silent Majority.
Hey, I wanted to say a couple things about the guy who was concerned about the Trump bashing. One of my response to him is that, number one, if it wouldn't matter what you did or what you said, the media is not going to report it properly, or they're going to turn around and change what they're saying and put it against Trump. I've already watched them do it. And then you've got the establishment elite crooks that talk about it 24/7. And so, for most voters, and I mean, I'm just a country girl, supposedly uneducated, and I can see right through them. I mean, only your facade, you can only play that so long. But I wanted to say that to that guy. It is frustrating, but turn them off. I wouldn't give them, I hope Fox News never has another advertisement as long as they're around on this earth, or I am. But is frustrating, but again, they do us a favor because they look so stupid. And then they call us uneducated.
Well, Joanna, this is why I love, I tweeted this the other morning, while I was taking the subway, somebody just started talking politics to me, and I love when people don't realize like how involved I am and how engaged I am when it comes to the process here. And after they were done, I could just see the expression on their face when I just started spewing all this intelligence to them and information to them. They were like, and they didn't know what to say.
I didn't know I was going to meet.
It turns out that the person was a Hillary supporter, and I started pushing back. I go, "What are her policies?" And they couldn't answer. They just want to vote for her because she's a woman. Joanna, I want to thank you for calling. Okay.
Oh, I want to say one. Can I say one more thing?
Sure,
I want to say something about the guy who was supposedly from the Black Lives Matter, and he was holding the biggest sign in the whole entire bunch. Mm-hmm. And the reporter said, "Now, why do you say that Mr. Trump's a racist?"
They have no idea. They have no idea.
He doesn't like. No, he didn't. You know what he said? Well, he said he doesn't like black people. I know he's
never said that.
He doesn't. No, he's not. And anyway, they kept asking. He could, and he says he said that Trump says that black people love him, and he said, well, does that mean he's a racist? Yeah. That means how is he racist?
I saw that. I saw that. Well, like I said, Joanna, they cannot answer. There's not one racist thing that he said. And Bill. And this is what I say, Bill, all the time. I said, how is Donald Trump racist? He wants to protect all Americans, whether they're Puerto Rican Americans, whether they're Mexican Americans, whether they're German Americans. He wants to protect them all. That is not racism. What do you have to say about that, Bill?
Well, he's not. I mean, there's no evidence of racism in his background at all. I was on Twitter the other day, and I asked that question. I said, can someone provide me some evidence that Donald Trump is a racist? Because, when you go out there and you make this broad sweeping statement that, Donald Trump is a Ku Klux Klan level racist, well, this is a guy who's been in the public eye for 4 decades. I mean, there must literally be an encyclopedia of evidence of his racist past, and the person came up with some article from 35 years ago about some lawsuit on an apartment discrimination thing. And I'm like, that's it?
That's it.
In 40 years, That's all you guys like. You can't be serious.
Yeah, all they bring up the fact they have this little snippet of back. I think it was 1932 regarding Donald Trump's father when he was rounded up during a KKK rally. And the bottom line was this: there was no. It says it in the article. He was released. He was released without bail because there was nothing. There was nothing to charge him with. He was basically back in the day. They used to round everybody up whenever there were melees. He just got caught in the whole melee there. But that's what they refer to Donald Trump's dad being arrested at a KKK rally. That's all they have.
I mean, I can point out on the news blatant racism by the Black Lives Matter group from last week.
Yeah.
And the week before that, and the week before that. It's just crazy that the only evidence that they have on Trump is some. Maybe some black and white newsreel 35 years ago. It's just crazy.
That's it. I want to welcome in Daniel. Welcome to the Silent Majority. You have a question or a comment?
Yeah, actually, first of all, great show, you guys.
Thank you.
And, I just want to throw this out there. A couple of you guys, you mentioned the UN. I think one of your callers mentioned that. Let me tell you something. This country was founded on a radical idea, and that radical idea hasn't changed. It's the power of the people and all the freedoms that we've had. Now, somebody else mentioned about Trump, what he said about the UN. Let me tell you something. The UN is not for that radical idea. It hasn't been for a long time. So I think you asked in your monologue, you said, I don't understand why these people don't get it. Oh, no, they get it. But you got to remember, the interest of America is evil to the rest of the world. Now, if you put that power into the UN, whether it's jobs, whether it's anything for the American people, it automatically is going to get 86 because we are an outsider. This entire country is an outsider in the way we think, in the way we live, in the way we protect our freedoms.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's perfect.
So the UN is never going to be from here on out an American-centric establishment. So if we pulled out of the UN, I would cheer right now. I'd like to turn that building into a Walmart.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for calling. I'm going to give Bill a chance and Christina a chance to respond to your comment. Okay, Daniel, go ahead, Bill.
All right.
Real quickly on the UN thing, what Trump was talking about with the UN, he was specifically referring to Israel in his APEC speech, and what he was saying is that the UN wants to come up with some monolithic thing where they create these rules and they impose them on the Palestinians and on Israel. And Trump said that is completely ridiculous. When you have a negotiation, you actually negotiate with the parties that are involved. You don't just impose rules from the outside on them. It'll never work. And that's why he said that if he's president and the UN tries to do something like that, he's just going to completely block it.
Yeah, and he basically also said he doesn't want the U.S. to be doing the heavy lifting because it seems like all the other 28 members, they don't do anything, and it always falls on the U.S. to do the heavy lifting with everything. And he says it's not a good business. And again, he's throwing that out there. Again, he's a big negotiator. He's throwing that out there just to make sure that these other countries realize that they have to appreciate who we are and what we stand for and back us. And not only that, but get in the game, put your uniform on, get it dirty, get in the game and stop hating us every time we go into these countries to defend freedom. And then you don't back us in the long run. You don't back us. But Danny, I want to thank you for calling.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
Sure. And one more thing quickly that I would agree with you on, Chris, on this, is that one of the things you do when you're a strong negotiator is you take the most extreme possible position right at the beginning. Okay, so you have room to be flexible and room to move. Right. And when Trump says things about, we need to pull out of the UN and we need to cut back our funding on NATO and stuff like that, he's creating a strong negotiating position there. Mm-hmm. And this is somebody that is a linear thinker like Ted Cruz does not comprehend.
Yeah, okay.
Donald Trump wants to paint a picture. He doesn't want to paint himself into a corner, but Ted Cruz wants to paint us into a corner.
Exactly. Christina, welcome to this. You're listening to the Silent Majority. I'm sorry. I'm a little sick under the weather here. So, welcome to the Silent Majority, on New Media Patriot Radio. I'm your host, Chris, and on the Rebooting Liberty hotline, I have my two co-hosts for the day, Bill Mitchell and Christina Laila. Christina, Bill brings up an interesting point. Once again, here you have Donald Trump. He's the only candidate brave enough to state that we've exhausted our national treasure chasing tyranny away from our allies and defending liberty in every venue needed, while those same allies do little or nothing to help themselves. How do you feel about that, Christina?
In regards to NATO, this conversation about NATO has been going on for a long time because look who's a part of NATO that shouldn't be. It's Turkey. So people have been talking about this a long time. And I was very disappointed to hear Cruz attack and saying, basically connecting the Brussels attack to Trump's comments on NATO because that's where NATO's
he twisted his words.
Located. Yeah,
absolutely ludicrous.
It was really disappointing. Yeah, it was really disappointing because the real connection is the recent arrest of the Paris mastermind, and what this attack was a retaliation of that arrest.
Yeah, Christina, I mentioned this on yesterday's show, and I basically said Ted Cruz missed his Reagan moment after the Chicago protest, where he could have stood by Donald Trump and his compatriot there, the Republican Party, and yet he didn't. He slammed Donald Trump, blaming Donald Trump for these protests, when in actuality, it was this is something that's been building for years. This is it could have happened to Ted Cruz if he was a front runner. And yet here he is defending the radical left there and their tactics. And it was disgusting. And here, again, he doesn't learn from his past mistakes. He does it again by blaming Donald Trump for the Belgium attacks, for the attacks in Brussels. But, the phone lines are packed here. The number to call is 347-338-1775. I want to pick up at this time, Jonathan from Long Island. Welcome to the Silent Majority. You have a question or a comment?
Hey. I just wanted to talk more about the Muslim religion and
Sure.
what you guys were mentioning about it before.
Sure.
Yeah, I go on Twitter and I talk about it all the time and I keep on trying to push the hashtag Muzzle Mob because I don't think that people actually realize how bad it actually is. And you were talking about like the percentages that the people who identify as Muslim, and in the black community right now, they don't identify as Muslim, but they are Muslim. They tell them that basically the Muslim religion is going into prisons and converting them, and it's been going on for years and years. And now they are becoming the majority like you were talking about. And a lot of people don't know about this right now. And I could go on for hours and hours, but I'm kind of a little nervous now. So.
Hey, no problem. Don't be nervous. I'll leave that up to my Islam expert, Christina, Laila. Christina, what do you have?
Yeah, I talk to her all the time.
Awesome. Go ahead, Christina. Respond to that comment.
Hi, thanks for calling in.
Hey.
Yeah, I do talk about this a lot too. There was a major problem in our prisons where they are converting a lot of the prisoners to Islam. And they're coming out of prison and they are converts, they're angry, and it's very dangerous. It's actually a very dangerous situation that's not getting enough attention.
Yeah. A lot of the gang violence, they just report it as gang violence. Meanwhile, these are terrorist attacks. The slashings that are going on in New York is probably due to a terrorist attack, I think. But you never know for sure. On top of that, you got them in the Indian reservations, not paying taxes.
Well, this is it. This is it, Jonathan.
It's all over.
Jonathan, I don't know if you've read Ann Coulter's book Adios America, but she explains it there, and she gives actually details as to how these crimes are reported. They're reported as they'll report a decapitation as a normal crime. It's not a normal crime. That's something that Islam does. It's not, but it's the way they report it and the way they keep the records. And you're 100% right about the reporting there. But I want to thank you for calling the Silent Majority.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there you have it. I want to continue down the boards here because we have a lot of people on the line. You listen to the Silent Majority. The number to call is 347-338-1775. At this time, I want to bring in who's been waiting longest here. Jack from Minnesota, welcome to the Silent Majority.
Hi.
Hi. You have a question or a comment for our guest?
Well, yes. I wanted to talk about the Brussels attacks.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. How old are you, by the way?
Okay. Oh, I'm only in 6th grade.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Aww.
Go ahead. Go.
Yeah.
I remember being in 6th grade.
The floor is yours.
Big into politics, though.
Awesome. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
That's great.
Oh, good.
Okay, so what I was thinking is that NATO should really go against these Muslim jihadists.
Okay, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, and I would imagine that my co-hosts for the night also agree with you. What do you say about that, Bill?
Well, I think that a large part of leadership is having the will to do something. We have the means